Today we're going to identify the 7 worst pieces of breakup advice that I've ever had the opportunity of encountering. So not only are we going to identify what those pieces of advice look like, but I'm also going to explain why they're so bad. If you're new to the YouTube channel or you're new to our podcast or our websites, probably the first starting place that you should find yourself is taking our X Recovery Chances quiz. Basically, it's a quiz that I always recommend to newbies to take because it will tell them what kind of chance they have of getting their ex back so they know whether or not they're a good candidate for the process that we teach. So if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, if you want to figure out sort of a general idea of what your chances are of getting your ex back, all you have to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click the link you see there. It will take you directly to our quiz where you can take it and be on your merry way. All right, so let's actually talk about those really bad pieces of advice. Bad tip number 1, the 90-day no contact rule. Okay, so this is going to be one of the most controversial pieces of advice that we're going to be talking about today, because a lot of my peers will recommend longer periods of no contact. And one thing that I find extremely interesting about the no contact rule in general is the timing is actually super important. See, timing is one of those words that a lot of people don't really want to tell you about because they're afraid to tell you the truth. And the truth is, timing matters, especially when it comes to getting your ex back. In fact, I would argue it's one of the most important factors, especially when it comes to a no contact rule. So a lot of times people say, why is the 90-day no contact rule such a bad piece of advice? Why is it such a bad time frame to implement? Is it because my ex is going to forget about me? No, that's actually not why. And in fact, what's interesting is there's actually some really great research out right now on separation anxiety that basically says around day 45 is when it can become the worst for adults. So that seems to lend credence to the fact that longer periods of no contact are a good idea. You'll notice that when you actually hop by our YouTube channel or get into our program, the longest period of no contact rule that we recommend is 45 days. Mostly because of that separation anxiety research. But why is 90 days such a bad piece of advice? Well, because it gives your ex enough time to get over you. I've talked a lot on this YouTube channel about the habit rule, about how instead of, contrary to popular belief, people think, oh, it will only take 21 days to break a habit or make a habit. The truth is it takes 66 days. So if your ex really wants to get over you, they have technically the fastest they can do it is 66 days. 90 days kind of extends over that. So it kind of allows your ex enough time to actually get over the breakup. And if your goal in trying to get your ex back is to get them back, giving them an opportunity to get over the breakup doesn't seem like such a great idea. Bad tip number 2, writing a letter to your ex. I've actually done a whole video on this about letters and what I really think about them. I despise the thing. Why? Well, because I've never, ever seen it work for any of my clients. You'll find some of my peers out there will say, okay, well, before you go into a no contact rule, make sure you write your ex a letter sort of apologizing for what you have done. But usually all that does is just tell your ex, hey, I'm going into a no contact period. Don't worry. I'll be back in touch later. That kind of removes some of that playing hard to get strategy that really seems to work in the ex back niche. But here's what's interesting about letters. I find that most of the time, a written letter is not going to be enough to change someone's mind. Usually it's going to take a lot more times and attempts and conversations to make that happen. One simple letter of writing down how you feel is more about you than it is about them. And I think that's the issue I have with letters. No matter how hard I try to explain to my clients, do not write a letter. The ones who do, I ask them, hey, what did you write? Show me what you wrote. And they show me, and it's almost always about how the breakup made them feel. It's more about them as opposed to their exes. And what we know about exes in human beings in general is we're very self-interested individuals. Writing a letter about yourself isn't going to make your ex feel any better and make them want to take you back. Bad tip number 3, waiting for an ex to reach out to you first. Okay, Now, this is another one of those really controversial pieces of advice that I sometimes get into arguments with my own clients about. You see, a lot of my female clients are under the impression that it matters who reaches out to who first. But what I teach and what I've learned is it doesn't. There's two aspects to conversations that matter more than anything. Number one is who ends the conversation first. That shows who's the more interested party. And number two is how good is the conversation itself? What is the quality like? I think today's society has this obsession about who reaches out to who first. And maybe that matters more when you're trying to attract someone for the first time, but not when you're trying to get someone back. And that's an important distinction I think that needs to be made. If you're sitting there and thinking, okay, well, I need to make sure that my ex reaches out to me first, you could lose your opportunity to start a good conversation to actually rebuild the attraction that is needed for them to come back to you, as opposed to waiting around for a text that never comes. Bad tip number 4. Sending a gift to your ex will make them want to come back. Now, somewhere hidden in my YouTube channel is a story that I've told about one of my early college friends who tried this technique out. And without going into too much of the details, one of my college friends decided that they wanted to get their ex back. The problem was they decided to try to win them back with a gift. You see, the thinking was pretty simple. If I can buy them this really meaningful gift, they're going to realize how much I value them and come back to me. The funny thing about it was the person who was my friend bought their ex a $500 guitar. I guess the guy was really into playing the guitar, which I know nothing about. So she gets this guy a guitar. He is in love with the guitar, but he still doesn't text her back. He just says, thanks, what's up? How are you doing? Then he moves on with his life. And I think the important thing to understand about gift giving is that it really kind of enacts this concept called the Benjamin Franklin effect. See, the common belief is, hey, if I do you a favor, you're more likely to do me a favor. But that's not the reality. The reality is, if I do you a favor, I'm more likely to do you another favor, and another favor, and another favor, and another favor. The person who does the favors is more likely to do another favor. So giving your ex a gift not only will just sort of overplay your hand, but it also makes you more susceptible to doing them another favor or giving them another gift. Bad tip number 5. You should sleep with your ex to get them back. Okay, now this is another one that unfortunately we have had a lot of experience with. Now, I am on record multiple times stating never sleep with your ex. No matter what circumstance, no matter how close you are to getting them back, do not sleep with them until you actually have them back. Some of my peers disagree with me on this, but my reasoning I think is a little bit more sound than theirs. They're thinking, okay, well, if you sleep with your ex and you're really close to getting them back, that's enough to push them over the hurdle. But that's not what reality has shown with our specific clients. You see, our clients who sleep with their exes find themselves in friends with benefits situation. They find themselves being ghosted. The ex has gotten what they wanted out of them and they hightail it out of there. We have seen this so consistently, and I'm about to say something that may shock you. Out of the thousands of coaching clients that we have had, a handful, maybe 10% of those people have slept with their exes before getting them back. Out of those 10% that slept with their exes, not one of them, not one, has gotten their exes back. Those are the real statistics. I am not making that up. So if you think sleeping with your ex is a good idea, it's not. Bad tip number 6. Wishing your ex a happy birthday during a no contact rule. Now, if you've stuck around the YouTube channel long enough, you know one of my biggest pet peeves is people talking about the circumstances in which they can break a no contact rule. There's a lot of different reasons for why one should break a no contact rule. Usually if you share a child with your ex and there's an emergency, like you need to take your child to the emergency room, good reason to break the no contact rule. Sometimes you have no choice. You're in what's called a limited no contact rule. You work with your ex or you live with your ex. You're forced to see them and there's nothing you can do about your living situation. Sometimes you have to break the no contact rule. But If you are doing a no contact rule, you do not live with your ex, there's no reason for you to have an emergency to talk to them like you share a child, but they're having a birthday and you want to wish your ex a happy birthday, it is the dumbest thing you can possibly do. Number one is, how is that going to help you going forward? The most common response you're going to get from wishing your ex a happy birthday during no contact is thanks, or no response, because they're angry at you. The second thing is, if you break no contact to wish your ex a happy birthday, you've broken no contact for the stupidest reason possible. This is a big pet peeve of mine. Not only have I never seen it work, it never helps get your situation going forward. You think, oh my God, they're gonna be so upset because I didn't wish them happy birthday. And I'm here to say, who cares? You have no obligation to wish them a happy birthday. You're in no contact. You're in no contact for you, not for them. Bad tip number 7, not even doing a no contact rule. This may be the most annoying thing to me. So we all know that the breakup industry is a little slimy. I think it's pretty fair to say that. I think a lot of people put profits over success more often than not. Now, what's interesting about this is sometimes people like to use hot takes on YouTube. They like to say ridiculous things to get clicks. I think one of those hot takes that is going around or making the rounds recently is people who say you should never do a no contact rule, they don't work. Okay, now I am in a privileged position in the fact that we have a lot of traffic coming to our YouTube channel, coming to our articles. We've had over 10 million people come through our stuff. That's a lot of people. We've had thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of different success stories that have actually talked to us, that have given us research. Here are the numbers that we know based on pure looking at the big picture when it comes to the no contact rule. Statistic number 1, out of all of our success stories, 70% of them have used a no contact rule. Out of all of our coaching clients who have gotten their exes back, every single one of them have used a type of no contact rule in some way, shape, or form. So to sit here and say that the no contact rule doesn't work or that you shouldn't do it is ridiculous. And I think the disconnect happens because a lot of people teach the no contact rule the wrong way. They say, do a no contact rule because it will make your ex miss you. We say, yes, it can do that, but it's more importantly going to help you achieve that secure attachment style that is so essential for letting go and making an ex find you attractive again. All right, so we're done with this video, but before you go, why don't you look in the comments section below and tell us what are some of the worst pieces of breakup advice that you have had in your life. Also, if you haven't taken that quiz that I talked about at the beginning of this video, make sure you again look in that description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there to take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz. Also, I'm going to do the prominent YouTube plug for subscriptions and comments and liking the videos. So if you haven't done any of those things, at least to one of our videos, make this be the video that you do it on. I'll see you next time.